All right, all you snowboarders of the internet, we're here, we're live, we're taking your questions. So get them in the chat box wherever it appears on your thing. The wheel of misery is behind us here. Actually, I need to move this. Oh. There we go. So yeah. Oh well. So, anyways, yeah. So yeah, it's been a rough couple weeks. Still not as rough as the skier whose skis I ran over yesterday, but still rough couple weeks. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, get your questions in. I'm gonna try to answer them, and you know how it goes. It's Uller Fest here in Breckenridge today, so there's drunk people running around doing the world's largest shot ski on Main Street. Okay. Well, we'll take this one from Aaron Barella. What's the most solid signal park board you tested this year? The Park Pro. Full camber. My board was solid. It's got some girth to it. It's a fun board. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. For anyone that is looking for snowboard content to watch, the description of this video, there is a ton of videos that have popped up in the last 2 weeks. So that should keep you guys occupied for, I don't know, like maybe 3 hours. All right. Okay. All right. So we got this super chat here from Dan K. Are they ever going to fix the slack on American Dyer? Lost a mitten at the end of the day today, reaching for pocket bacon because it stopped and swung 50 yards. They fixed that like 2 years ago, dude. They respliced the cable on it. I don't know what was going on, if the weight was off or something, but yeah, they fixed it. Ugh. Yeah, so, and if anyone's asking, I cut myself shaving. It's not a herpy from some swamp donkey I made out with. Okay, so Dan K gets a spin of the wheel. Ugh. Oh, all right. Right to the medium sticker pack for Dan K. You know the drill. Email me info@angrysnowboarder.com with your mailing address, and I'll get that in the mail to you. All right, we got Ian with money on the super chat. Yeah. Hopefully everyone's like back to normal after Black Friday. That was a hell of a day. Jesus Christ. Everyone's winning shit again. I'm going broke over here. Going broke. You know the drill. All right, let's see what else we got here. Look for some questions. This is actually really funny from Tibby TT. Funny how Kevin from Snowboard Pro Camp puts out a video on how to turn and skids everywhere. Tommy B and Malcolm Moore then put out videos correcting him. Because the guy can't fucking snowboard to save his life. He put a video out on how to carve, and in the thumbnail, his carve line is like that fucking wide. And I'm like, dude, you're not carving, you're skidding right out on edge. Like, Jesus. Okay. Let's see. Find a question here. Michael Pham, what do you think of the DC ply? I saw they had a Star Wars edition, and my girlfriend Pops is a huge fan. The ply is like a really good bang for the buck. This is the last year you guys are going to be able to get DC boards too. There's going to be in select markets in Europe next year, but they're done with their board program after this year. No, the ply is a really good board for the price. Like, it's good bang for the buck. It's always been solid when I've ridden it. So, Gerald, too early in the season to bust out a new board here in Colorado? It depends. If you stay on the Grimmer, you're probably fine. If you're like me and you went powder hounding, you now have an obliterated board. So, yeah. Kind of got a little too gnarly for my own good this week on my Endeavor archetype. Oops. That thing's got some cat scratch fever going on. Okay. Stuff I find interesting with the super chat. Orchidorcas with step-ons are something else. One ran into me after unloading. I was stopped in a designated area and she ran into me. I sprayed her when I passed her. Stay angry. Fuck yeah, spray them all. Spray them all. That's how we do around here. Spray everyone. Ooh. Pick a random question and give them a spin. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Bandana Skim. Question for your board knowledge. I have a ride smokescreen and a cap at a Pathfinder camber. Wanting to sell, GNU money and find something else. Any board suggestions or don't need another? So you got the smokescreen, the Pathfinder. You're going to sell that GNU money. Realistically, if you did get another board, you'd want a volume shifted board, something that fits in the middle between that smokescreen and that Pathfinder camber. You know, maybe like you get a War Pig, or if you can find a last year's Slush Slasher, that would be really cool. This year's is a little wonky. Maybe a Telos Backslash or even a K2 Party Platter. But you get a spin of the wheel, sir. That's right, nerds. Okay, Brendan R. Are the Ride A10s noticeably more stiff compared to the C8s I already own? Thinking of getting them for the Ride Peace Seeker. Had a good deal inside. Thanks. Yeah, it's you're jumping up 2 binding models with Ride, so when you go up that, you notice right away the stiffness changes, especially in the strap and the high back. On top of the fact you're coming from a composite binding to an aluminum binding, so it's going to be more rigid underfoot as well. Oh, you want to go into this one, Wintergreen 777? Do you have any other issues with Never Summer boards besides the ugly and low quality top sheets? Yeah. Shitty ass die cut bases, so that when you hit something, it's got such an enormous die cut in it, it pulls the damn thing apart. Their cores are milled wrong. They put the RC tech too far into the camber zone, so it makes the board super fucking hooky. The camber profiles decamber on the tail, so the board ends up looking like this. Camber, reverse, flat. After about 25 days, the 2 gallons of epoxy in each board, so it makes it dead and lifeless. Let's see. What else we got going on in there besides the fact the boards are dead, lifeless turds? Yeah, we could go talk about that rental board top sheet. Their side cut geometry is wonky as fuck. Their whole shaping is weird as shit too. Like, you literally have a guy that never really designed anything but a bunch of backyard garage boards, and suddenly now the company's worth like $20 million and he's still designing that shit. Like, send his ass to fucking design school. Like, there's shit so fucking cattywampus on it. There's so many things. Like, for what you pay for the premium price, you get less. You don't get a stone ground finish in their boards. Their boards are uneven. Go take a true bar. Get a real true bar. Buy a Swix true bar. Lay it flat on the board on your workbench if you have one, and look at it. Guarantee you that board is not leveled at all. At all. Some of the lowest quality boards with some of the highest premium. Ugh. All right, we got our boy Joshua Blaustein with a super chat. Do you think companies make too many board options? Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, my God. Why do you need to have 10 boards that do the exact same thing and each one is $20 different in price? It makes no fucking sense. You need an all-mountain freestyle, an all-mountain free ride, a straight free ride board, a twin cambered jump board, and then a park board, some kind of twin, camber profile, whatever, a POW board, and maybe a volume shifted board, and then your women's line. You don't need to have 10 boards that do the exact same thing. Looking at you, Nitro and Burton. Jesus Christ. We're Nitro Snowboards. We're just going to friggin' slap a pro model graphic and have 25 SKUs for one model. Kill me. Just fucking kill me. Makes no sense at all. All right. Well, got yourself a small sticker pack there, Josh. Email me info@angrysnowboarder. and I'll get that in the mail to you. Okay, let's see. Ryan Tracy, how much boot overhang is too much? And if I had to have slightly more toe or heel overhang, which should I do? Well, ideally, you want equal amounts of everything. What you want to do is when you get your boot set up in the binding and on the board, take the board and lay it flat on some carpet and roll it over and see how far over it goes before the boot touches. And then the same thing with the heel. You really don't. You want equal amounts, toe and heel. Like you can have a little bit hanging over because you got to remember you're elevated up, so a little bit isn't going to kill you. But if you have, like I saw a guy yesterday that probably had like that much toe overhang, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like slide your binding back a little bit and balance that shit out. Guy's doing toe side turns and just booting out and falling over on himself. All right, so we got 114 people in here, so I'll tell you a little fun story. So yesterday, me and my boy Thunder Cheeks were coming back from getting some Eagle Barbecue at Copper. It's about 3 o'clock. You know, I park in the flyer lot. You have to have a parking pass to do it. So we're walking up. Now, parking lot's fucking empty. There's like maybe 5 cars. 40 friggin' empty spots. Some asshole in an EV Jeep Wrangler had to park this far from my passenger side. And then, while they got their gate open and they're unloading their fuck sticks and tucking their jeans into their boots, because yes, at 3 p.m. they were showing up to get first tracks of the day for themselves in there with jeans on. They're tucking it in. They got all their shit behind my car. So I'm like, all right, well, walked up and I was like, I'm backing out. Like, you need to move your shit. So my boy Thunder Cheeks starts moving the guy's shit, and the guy's like, oh yeah, we'll move it. So I go and get in the car, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So, you know, Thunder Cheeks is able to get in, so we get in, and I was like, they moved it? And he's like, yeah, they're moving everything. And I was like, okay, cool, give him another minute. So, you know, I told him 2 times that I was backing up. He told him 3 times and move stuff. So throw it in reverse and back up, and I hear there's a fucking went over their skis. So I backed out like this, and I'm looking out my passenger window, and the guy's just sitting there like this, looking at me all goddamn mortified. And he's like, I'm gonna get my skis. And I was like, no. Vroom, right off, just right over everything again. Fuck them. First off, they didn't have a parking pass to be in that lot, so they can suck a fart out of my goddamn ass right there. Second off, whole fucking empty parking lot. You got to park this far from my fucking car? Probably door dinged me when he got out, you douche canoe. So I backed over their fucking rental skis, and then I drove over them, and I didn't stop, and I don't care. Fuck them all. That's the way I'm looking at it. Like, they're the literal worst. Ugh, fucking worst people on earth. Like, well, I'm sorry your vacation just started off with a bang. Can only go uphill from here, you know. Hopefully. I don't know, but whatever. Ugh, the worst. Like, why? Why would you do that? Why? If you ever just felt compelled when you're getting ready to just put your shit behind someone else's car. Now, here's the funny thing. The spot next to him, completely empty. 25 spots down the road, completely empty. They could have put their shit right there, you know, but no. It's, yeah, whatever. Okay. Let's take this super chat from RJ Ghoul. Spin to win. Where are we going? Ooh, loser. Ouch. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, we got Theodore Petrovich. Hi, Angry. I found a Capita DOA stiffer than I expected, so it's more work for butters when I'm lazy. I'm thinking about Fun Kink because your review says it's more playful, easier to butter. What do you think? I think you should just go fucking ride. Sounds like it's you, not the equipment. Go ride. Learn how to leverage your weight onto the camber section where it meets that rocker. Create Push into that flex point. When you push into that flex point, it's going to engage. You aren't putting enough leverage in there. Everyone wants it to be easier and easier and easier and easier. What, you just want to lean back and like, woo, look at me, I'm fucking wheeling down the goddamn hill. No, fucking pop an ollie, land on the nose, push into that point, nollie back out, land on the tail, right where that camber meets that little rocker zone in there, push into it, lock it, make sure you understand how to get your hip sitting out over the tail with your knee bent in. Fucking hard. That board will break in. Like, everyone literally is like, I need a board to make things easier for me. Like, I swear to God, some guy today was like, if you could just ride this and tell me if I had fun on it, that'd be great. I was like, oh, you just want me to ride it for you and tell you had fun. Like, fucking just go fucking ride it. Ugh. DJ Happy Bird 13. Why are James Bestiality and Kevin Snowboard Pro Camp such big union fans? Do they get free product? Is that how it works? Why don't they give back to snowboarding if so? I don't know if they're getting free stuff. I'd assume that they might be. I don't know. All I know is I've got a set of Ultras here. I bought these at Gravity at Copper. I bought these so I could review them. So that, and they can't say anything when I do the video and show how you actually replace the toe ladder if it breaks, because there's supposed to be a cutout there and there isn't. But it might be that. But those guys just take. They're fucking succubuses. I mean, Kevin's a fucking spunion. I realize he's getting called out more and more, so it's kind of a matter of time before he snaps. He's like kind of had little snaps in his comment section, but it doesn't do him well because he's been Mr. Nice Guy the whole time. Like, I'm a dick. I'm just a fucking dick. And James turned on comments this year for the first time on his video, so that's friggin' hilarious. So, yeah. All right. We got Beziums with a super chat. The Stoke was real up in Washington for opening weekend, around 20 inches of fresh pop. Thanks for the C8 recommendation. The reversible heel strap is perfect for me. Fuck yeah, dude. My friends up at Stevens got up there, and I saw some photos. It looked really good up in Washington, so I'm stoked to see that happen. Oof, you lose. Okay. Hugo Marquez is an intermediate rider going for all mountain and freestyle. I'm a bit undecided between the Jones Mountain Twin or any other board. Any recommendation? You're an intermediate rider. Like, do you really? The Mountain Twin is pretty solid. You can't go wrong with that. You could also do like a Yes Typo or a Rosinal one mag in there. You don't need something that's going to be super stiff, but you also want something that's got a little bit of stability in there. You could also, because you're kind of intermediate bouncing between the two, I'd say almost look at a Rome Agent as well with that double kick. That'll help you with freestyle, but it's got enough rigidity in it to go all over the mountain. Plus, it's not so overwhelming with its flex that it's going to kill you. All right, we got one here from Rod Kings. Hey, Avran, bought a 58 Tillus backslash last season's sale, and I thought a 53 to 58 wouldn't be a problem. 210 pounds, 12 boot. Did I make a mistake? Should I sell it and get a smaller volume shifted? I mean, I would never have put you on a 58. That thing rides like a 70 almost. Yeah, you may have gotten something a little too big for you there, buddy. I would have gone with the backslash 53. Rob Gams, any reason not to mount stiff bindings on a softer board, i.e. Atlas on a cap at outer space living? I actually like the feel of it, but no, some people recommend stiff with stiff, medium with medium. Fuck it, dude. It's personal preference. Do whatever you want. I ride a super stiff boot and a medium flex binding. Before that, I used to ride like the second lowest end binding from K2 when I would just throw a set of Formula heel straps on so I could get the hinge on it. And I'd be riding their highest end boot with the Thraxis at the time. Like, no, it's personal preference, man. If it works for you, fuck it. Who cares? Ryan Bingham, thoughts on stomp pads? Are they for weenies or are they necessary in some cases? My top sheet gets abnormally slick. Should I get a stomp pad or just get good? The ongoing joke used to be that stomp pads were training wheels for the retarded. Then Crab Grab came out with cool stomp pads. It's personal preference, man. Who cares? Someone's going to give you shit about it. Like, if that's their biggest thing, they suck. Like, I don't use stomp pads. That's just me. But I've been riding forever. I just kick my foot right into the side of my binding and just go with it. Throw some mini claws on there, or maybe like a rail or something from Crab Grab. you'll be good to go. As long as you're not putting those dorky ass huge stomp pads that are foam and then they disintegrate and they leave that schmeg all over the top sheet of the board. That wouldn't be wise in my opinion. But other than that, who cares? Milo, any tips for setting up flow bindings? Yeah, spend some time with them. Like spend some time dialing in the straps, have your boots on, kick in, kick out while it's on the carpet at home. Do that. Really spend the time dialing in. And you spend the time dialing it in, you're not going to have problems when you get to the hill. That's it. Like, you want to make sure that you spend that time to engage with it because they do have more adjustments on there to really dial them in. Okay, let's see what we got here. Seabass, where do you recommend getting your board tuned in Summit County? So I'd go see Ryan at Montserrat in Dillon. Chip and I think Greg is still working there, maybe Matt, but I think Greg's working there. But yeah, go see Ryan, Chip, and Greg at Montserrat in Dillon proper, the town of Dillon. That's a really good one. Lone Star Sports in Breckenridge is good, as well as Pup's Glide Shop in Breckenridge. Those are two that I'd recommend. Let's see. Yeah, I think those are like the big three that I would send people to. Okay. All right. R Rainer 00. What do you call a person who buys a Never Summer Pro to step-ons that they want to clear coat so it won't yellow in the sun that they bought last season and didn't even ride it? Kook is too kind. They're a fucktard. They're a fucktard. That's literally what they are. They're a fucktard. Okay, we got a super chat from our boy Hano. 210 pounds with 9 boots, 10 fingers. I got a Western Range 58 and a Soli Grail 62. Ooh, what's a good board to round the quiver? You can kind of just get away with both of those and be totally fine. But if you were going to do something in between those two, it's time to go volume shift. I think that's the way to go with that right there. If like you kind of want like your party board mix in between the two of those, so maybe a War Pig, Super Pig, or a Battalion Party Wave. Slasher kind of comes to mind, or like a Rome Stollyfish, or even a Service Dog. One of those would work for you, sir. Let's see, where are we? Okay, we got one here from Angelo Lombardo. How many seasons do you usually stretch boots out? It's not seasons, it's days. Like, realistically, about 100 days, you'll clap out a boot. You can maybe push it to 150. It kind of depends. You don't... So... This one's destroyed. I broke the housing for the boa, like off the side. But what you're ideally looking at, like when the boot breaks down, is you want to check the back spine right here and see if it's creased. And then you want to check the sides here and here, see where the creases are, if it's really creased. If the liner is packed out, your foot's slopping around in there. You sometimes will get like a toe crease right here as well. And then you want to check the tread on the bottom, make sure you still have tread. Stuff like that. I typically get about 125-ish days out of a boot. At 100, they're pretty much done, but I can usually squeeze like spring park riding out of them for another 25 days. The new Thraxis that I'm in, I bought 2 pairs of last year's ones last season. It's actually noticeably stiffer. I've got about 20 days on it now, and it's still not feeling as broken in as my old ones were at that time. So I think that they'll last longer. Obviously, the stiffer the boot that you buy, the longer it should last, just because from the day that you get a set of boots, they are breaking down. They're getting softer, 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 and softer. So it is what it is. So you kind of just have to be prepared that you might be going through a pair of boots a season, and you might have boots that if you only go 10 days a season, you're going to have them for 5 to 10 years. So, you know, but yeah. Okay, what else we got here? Okay. All right. I'm going here from Just Kevin. Notice the channel for the high back adjustment on my now pilots. Left binding only is too narrow. I had to remove the bolt and pry it out to adjust it. Have you heard of this issue? Size large black? No. That's literally the first time I've heard that. That probably just sounds like an off manufacturing process, like it's got when they were injecting the material into the mold or whatever. It just sounds like there's a little extra in there. I mean, if you're really worried about it, reach out to Now and just be like, hey, had this issue. Can you guys send me another high back? And I bet you they would. We got one from Dominic Yasobino. Need a new melon bucket this year. Anything to look for when buying a helmet? Check the foam on it. Check and see what the adjustments are. You definitely want something that's MIPS, just because it's the new progression of where head protection is going with things. Yeah, it'll get you where you need to be, but you know, make sure you buy from a real brand too. Also, if it says it's hard hat certified, it's not a helmet. You want a helmet certification. Steve K, I've been watching angry videos for a while now, so you're not going to be super happy that I'm asking. But why does my Yes Typo make sharper turns than my Jones flagship? Is it side cut? Side cut, camber profile, flex pattern, core profiling, the underbite technology versus the serrated edge on the Jones in there, and rider ability. That's everything right there. Like, oh, and I may have left out torsional flex in that. So yeah. All right. Andrew Lewis. Hey, Avran. Wanted to take in my stance with just a tab, and also wouldn't mind a little more nose. Would it cause an issue if I slid back only the front binding? Currently riding a terrain wrecker. No, just okay. So like, understand this. You're going to move that front one back a little bit, so you're going to end up with more nose. So what's going to happen is any chatter you get in that, because of the C2 camber profile, it's got more area to resonate back underfoot. So it might feel a little more chattery. The other thing is turn initiation. You're sliding it back on the side cut off the front foot. So your engagement is going to change a little bit in there as well. As long as you have more nose than tail, because you never want to have more tail than nose, you should be totally fine. Okay. KYJ, any thoughts on the Burton Malavita? I mean, there's a lot of people that swear by the Malavita, but one thing I don't like, and I wish I had a pair here to show you, is on the base plate of it, right where the heel cup is, there's like this little point that comes off. It's a wing, basically, in the design. If you have a clear top sheet board, so, you know, they put like a lacquer coat on it, and you land and torsionally flex the board like this, you land hard in it, that point will put pressure into the top sheet. They crack top sheets. That's the one issue with them. This is the last year of the Malavita. It will be gone next year. Okay, where were we? All right, we got a PSA super chat from RJ Gould. DC is having a 60% friends and family sale. More like we need to get rid of this inventory because we're not going to sell it next year. Sale. Ooh, person 2 below gets a spin. All right, well, that goes to Josh Blaustein. shop local, bitches. And he does have a question. Follow up to my previous question about if board companies make too many miles. Do you think they make so many because it doesn't cost them much? Here's the problem. The logic, it's not a real logic. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a discount at manufacturing because they hit X number of models, the prices drop. But the other thing is they're trying to hit every single price point, because let's say you're a kid in the Midwest whose mom is on a budget, and her budget is $430 for a board. Is she going to pay an extra $20 for the $450, or is she going to pay a little less for the $400 if the $430 board sold? That's what it is. It's strategic price points to hit certain key demographics, even if the boards literally fucking overlap. It's so annoying. So annoying. Okay. Jaime J24. Hangry, thanks for the excavator katana recommendation. Got it dialed for the season and absolutely ripped in the fresh pow last weekend. Turns great. That's a great setup for that board, because if you got that ASIM wrap on the heel cup, so when you really leverage into a turn and you want to slash, you can. You're not getting just straight power out of the heel cup. Okay. So for everyone that's going to ask me boot recommendations, the best boot's the one that fits your foot and fits your needs. Go try on like 10 pairs, figure out what fucking works for you. You want a stiff boot? Try on the more expensive ones. Those are generally the stiffer ones. You want a softer boot? It's the cheaper ones. That's kind of how it goes. The best boot is the one that fits your foot and fits your needs. I could sit around and recommend a boot. If it doesn't fucking fit your foot shape, it means fuck all in the grand scheme of things. So there you go. Okay. Brandon Smith, like, how many people actually live in mountain towns? Almost no one. We have 2,300 year-round residents here in Breckenridge that balloons up to almost 10,000 residents in the winter. There's 20-something thousand residents in Summit County. That's just one area of mountain towns. Park City has even more people, I'm pretty sure, per capita than if you count like Heber City and all that around it as well, because they're so close to Salt Lake City. Like, there's people that live in mountain towns. Don't let them fool you. We just avoid tourists like all the time. Shylinks, how's the snow working in another state till I'm up there in January? Snow coverage has been really good for Colorado. It's been like Powtown for sure. They actually opened the Pally chair up at the basin this afternoon. That shit looked deep. I've gotten in from everything from top of my boot deep to mid thigh in the last 2 weeks riding. I've also hit a bunch of rocks. Not going to lie. Not a bunch. I've hit a lot. In fact, yeah, I've destroyed a board. I have to buy a new powder board. That sucks. Okay. Wall Dodger. Hi, Avran. I really like the sound of the LibTech Dynamo. What length and width do you recommend it for a 220-pound guy, 5'10", average at best rider? Love your work. Thanks. Well, I don't know what your boot size is, so maybe you need a wide, maybe you don't need a wide. At 220, don't go below a 59, but I think you're like somewhere in that 59 to 65 range. Kind of just depends on where you're riding and what you want. Okay. Joe X bought the Ride Piece Seeker. It has some damage to the top sheet. Waiting for some stickers to repair the board. Any tips to actually fix the top sheet? Yeah. Shit. I don't have my epoxy out here. So you want to go get marine grade epoxy. 2-part. You are going to get a little cup. You're going to squirt it in, and you're going to use more resin than hardener. If you use more hardener than resin, it tends to crack. But if you use the other way around, so you know, more resin than hardener, it actually has some malleability to it. And what you're going to do is mix that up, get it going. You take your stick and wherever it is, I'm assuming it's just like a chip in the nose or something. Maybe you peel it up a little and you put it in there, slather it around. Then you're going to take your duct tape, pull a piece off, put it down on the top sheet and push it down, and so that it goes over the base like that, right? Then after that, let's see, where are they? Yeah. Metal scrapers. You're going to take 2 of them. Spray them down with WD-40. That's just in case any epoxy leaks out and gets on them. It'll be easier to clean. And you're going to put one on the nose, one on the tail. C-clamp. Tighten it down at the edges, then the middle, and then you're going to tighten them back up so they're consistently there. You're going to leave it for 24 hours. After that, take the C-clamps off, pull apart those metal scrapers, peel the duct tape off, and the duct tape also helps make it look a little more flat. If you want to cosmetically touch it up, you just take a little sandpaper, fine grade, sand it up. If anything's on the base of it, take a razor blade and just scrape it right off the base. You just want to just scrape that right off the base. And that should get you done. I think I filmed a video like 3 or 4 months ago, and it's sitting somewhere. I got to double check on that. I was supposed to have an editor working for me, but I guess he had a heart attack, which sucks. So we're working through some stuff. But yeah, I'm supposed to be bringing on an editor so I can get that shit done. That's right. All hail the mullet. Kevin came to visit. TJ Happy Bird 13. Have you ever had the chance to ride with James Bestiality or Kevin Snowboard Pro Camp? Would you ever do a video collaboration? No, I'm not a fucking retard. I don't want to do anything with those fucking idiots. Fucking constantly hope they go in the backcountry and die so that way I can make a video picking on their stupid choices. No. I've never ridden with James. I've been when I've ridden past him. All his weight on his back foot, fucking doing that. I attempted to make one lap with Kevin like 2-3 years ago. I think he was so intimidated by me because I rolled he was at Woodward at Copper and in Central Park. And I rolled up and was like, hey, what's up? Doing some stuff. And I went to hit the 32 rails and my edge hit a burr and I basically Michael Jacksoned the rail. And the whole time I was just screaming. I was like, fuck, and just screaming at the top of my lungs and then popped off. And the fact that I didn't eat shit, I think it just scared him. But rode a chairlift with him. And then I was figured we were going to make a lap. And he just straight lined it probably off to the kiddie park to fuck off with himself. All right. So we got Motor Racer 971 talking about the pocket bacon. Remember to ollie those slow signs, people. Okay. Jeremiah Hone. I own the Ride C6 and I don't love them. Rode the Union Ultra and loved it. How different does the Strata feel from the Ultra? I don't know because I haven't ridden these yet. I might ride these tomorrow. If not, it's going to be next week. I'll get on them. But the big thing is the gasket on the Strata is different. So these are canted. You have 6 degrees of natural forward lean in there. These are going to be a little softer than the Strata. I know that for a fact. I have friends that were Strata guys that ride for Capita Union, and now they're on the Ultras, and they're they said it took a day or two to get used to it. It's growing on them as a binding choice. So, yeah, that's about all I know. Brandon Smith, your favorite street part this year so far? Derek Lemke was really good, but fuck, I've been watching a ton of goddamn videos, still working my way through stuff. The video that made me laugh the most was the Pink Dollar Posse's out to sea. That was funny just mainly because of the skits, but it was just watching everything. But yeah, Derek Lemke is a fucking beast, man. Although Dustbox was good, and then Fly Away Closer. I have a special place in my heart for Justin Phipps because I've literally known him since he was 7 years old. So to see him being a 20-year-old Man-Am, that was really cool to see as well. Okay. Ronan, every time I'm at Copper, I look for a red. Got to follow me on Instagram to find a random angry drop because I don't just leave them randomly. I will tell you when they're there. So it only took people 3 weeks to find the one I left it underground. Literally left it in the shop. Tanky, would you review my personal Arbor Satori? I'll be at Copper next week. I haven't had the chance to ride it yet, and I'm out with a damn injury. No. Because I've got 6 things left to ride this year. I've got those Ultras, Super DOA, a Telos, Legend, Add It, and Chill'em, and I'm fucking done. And I just want to be done. Those are the last 6 things I've got to ride, because tomorrow I'm supposed to get next year's Solomons, I guess. So, okay. Ali Rosé, what's a good park board for size 13 boots? Well, something that's wide, probably. That would really help you. I don't know what your weight is or anything, but yeah, I'd start looking for wide twins. Realistically, though, you could always check out the Marhar Lumberjack or the Lumberjack X if you want it with camber. That'll fit like a size 14. And, you know, it comes in 3 sizes. So there you go. Okay, Wintergreen 777. I'm looking for an all-mount directional board that I can use for powder groomers and freestyle in the park. Are the Jones Flagship and LibTech Orca the best? Any other recommendations? Neither of those are the best. Neither. Like, no. Why? This is why I think I'm dying every day, because I think these questions are developing brain tumor. You just need a solid all-mountain freestyle board. Directional twin. That's it. It's not that hard. Directional twin will get you done. Jones Mountain twin. Capita Mercury. Yes, typo. That's the type of thing. Literally go look at my top 5 all-mountain freestyle board video. That'll get you covered. Zach Trozian, 2023 Jones Stratus versus Mind Expander. What's the more laid-back, fun resort ride? I have a Aviator 2.0. It's a lot of board when I just want to have a chill day. Stratus. The Stratus is a lot easier to ride than the Mind. The Mind Expander is a little more reactive than the Stratus, and it's a little more demanding. The Stratus, you can be a little bit more laid back. Sean Elliott with the super chat. I bought 2 pairs of boots because they're no longer being made. Will the second pair hold up in storage for a few seasons? Should I do anything? Make sure they're tied up. Make sure there's no place that a rodent is going to get in there and try to hide food and shit and eat it. As long as they're tied up, in shape, you're not putting them in direct sunlight. They're not going hot, cold, stretching, expanding, stuff like that. You'll be fine. Take them out every year and just make sure you flex them and stuff, because that material does need to be flexed. You could, if they're leather outer, you could always leather treat them if you really wanted to as well. All right. Well, Sean, win yourself a small sticker pack. Email me info@angrysnowboarder.com and make sure you put your mailing address in there, and I'll get that in the mail. Drew Wickham, do you listen to Tool? No, fuck no. Okay, Ryan Waddle. I saw Park Crew Hates You hashtag Pocket Bacon and Malort. Yeah, for all. Yeah, Malort for all. It's weird. I saw that same thing, hashtag Pocket Bacon. Now it's like everywhere. So where the fuck did this happen? That's right. All hail the mullet, Lord Kevin. Okay. Peter Enos. Great name. Any recommendations for a short powder board? I bought a panhandler last season, but I'm not too happy with it. Just feels awkward. Kind of hard to describe. I only ride Austrian Alps. Probably sounds like, because I think, is the panhandler the flat rocker one? Sounds like you just need something with more camber in it. So I would look at like your Telos backslash, you ride Super Pig, your own Stalefish. Let's see, maybe a Rosinal Sashimi. That might be what you're looking for. Okay. All right. So we got one here from KYJ. Do you think canting really helped the riding or prevent knee injuries? The only way they're preventing a knee injury is if you're one of those guys that has like a 27-inch stance and your knees are all super stretched out, so it's bringing them back. You want your knees in a neutral position. And canting really made sense when people were doing like 24-inch stances and trying to get as wide as possible. But when you start to bring your stance in more to a natural position, because if you actually look at how you stand, most people do not stand like goddamn John Wayne trying to take a shit over a hole in the ground. And so you bring that back in. Like, I hate canted bindings. They end up hurting my knees because I ride a 21.5-inch stance. It's so narrow that it's making me more knock-kneed. In the process, that's actually hurting my knees. But if I was riding a 24-inch stance and bringing it back to a natural alignment, it would probably take some of the outside pressure from them being bowed out because they're so wide. Hi, Son Cow. Any recommendations for how to properly clean the base of a snowboard? Get yourself some citrus base cleaner. Don't lick it. Don't lick it. You get it in a little spray bottle, and you spray it down, and you take your little rag, and you and you wipe it down. If it's really bad, you take your iron and you hot wax, and you put it on, run the iron over it like 3 times really quick, just enough to cake it. And while it's still warm, take a metal scraper. Unless you're a troglodyte, then get a plastic one. If you're really worried about hurting your base, get a plastic one. Hold it with a bend in the middle. So this one's bent just a little bit in the middle. And scrape that wax while it's hot so it pulls all the dirt off. Then base clean it. Johnny Crook, another season as a snow carny. What am I doing with my life? You're living it, dude. Hopefully you're banging snow carny chicks, swamp donkeys, getting a case of the craps. I'm just saying, you know, these things happen. Probably living off whiskey and ramen. So, all right. Christoph Lemons, what does a binding make fast toe to edge? Looking for a binding for a K2 Alchemist. Is Skate Tech a good choice? So there's a couple thoughts to this. So, like, to use this Ultra, you've got this huge pad on here. So what this is doing is it's allowing more lateral play in there. What you really want is something that has a bigger spot to push down under the toe and the heel. With Skate Tech and the way that it with that hanger works, especially with like the 3.0, it's putting more pressure towards. So like when you push down in the toe, it rockers up. So the heel actually raises, you're putting more pressure in. And then when you go to the heel, it's doing the same thing in there. So if you use a board with a binding with a mini disc, you're going to have a less of a dead spot under there. It's a smaller amount of power transmission. When you go to a bigger one, you get more power out to the binding. So like a bigger disc will give you more power out to the edge. The other thing is your straps. Like if you have super soft straps on a binding, it's not going to be as responsive as something that's a little more stiff and restrictive because it's putting more power and transferring it down into the board so that you're actually using your ankle flexion to drive it from edge to edge. Okay. All right. Caden Martz ended up buying a regular Ravine Super Solid. I'm glad I bought it off your recommendations. I'll find out eventually, but curious if on a deep powder day you'd move the bindings back at all. It's personal preference, and with that board, you can put it back, and that's going to give you more nose and allow that taper in the tail to sink a little bit easier, especially because you do have camber in that board. So you're putting your weight back. It's going to be easier on that back leg, so you're not getting as much leg burn. So like if it's like a 18-inch or more day, yeah, slam that shit back, dude. You'll have fun with it. You'll thank me for it later. Okay. All right. Ooh. Okay. Adam Eisenhower, does the Super Pig perform well enough at high speeds? I want something hard charging. I don't know about its side cut radius. I mean, I've never had a problem with it. occasionally in choppy terrain, I'd feel a little bit more, and the nose would get a little flap in it, just bend your knees more. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. Where were we? Super chat from Jen. I'm looking for a stable directional ride like the old Eldorado. Any advice? Everything is better than that dinosaur of a fucking board. Anything. Why don't you go look at my top 5 all mountain free ride boards, then go look at some of the reviews for some actual free ride boards and start there. Like, why are we comparing it to a board that probably hasn't existed in 25 years? Like, why? I don't give a fuck about that thing. Old cap ass constructed board. Wasn't even made in the same factory as K2s these days. Doesn't even have the same technology. Fuck. Loser. All right, Ryan Bingham. How do I decide when to ride my Passport versus Warpig? Seems like Passport's better for hard charging and Warpig for park and buttering since both are good in pound jumps. Any other considerations? No, you nailed it right there. I mean, you're going to go fuck around? I'd ride the Warpig. You want to go charge? Ride the Passport. John Davidson, since you test so many boards throughout a season, do you have a routine that you use on each new board? What is your testing methods? I wake up. I groan. I contemplate my life decisions. I check the snow report. I groan some more. I scratch my nuts. I go out and let my dog out of her crate. I take a shit. I check the snow reports again and the webcams. And then I kind of decide what board I'm going to ride for the day based on what the conditions look like. From there, if I'm at a basin, I have set lines that I can hit the same stuff over and over and over again for some form of consistency. It's also why I ride the same binding and boot combination on everything. That way you take the guesswork out of it. Same thing when you're testing bindings, you use the same board and the same boot. You take the guesswork out of everything in there. When I'm at Copper, if it's a POW day, I have POW lines. If it's like an all-around day, I have all-around lines. If it's a park day, I have certain laps I make at the park. So, okay. Okay, so we got Mr. Sucker King 44. Went with the bent metal transfer this season instead of the Ride C6. Did I make the right choice? I ride a lot at East Coast Park, but get out to Colorado 4 times a year. I mean, the cool thing with the transfer that I like over, like, say, something with the C6 is those transfer plates that they have. You can swap those out with any of the other ones that bent metal makes. So you could put, or not transfer plate, drive plate. Sorry, the drive plate. But you can swap that out. You want stiffer, you want more playful. You could swap those out with any of them, and it gives you more customization for that. There's things that I like about the C6 a little bit more. I do like the straps on the C6 a little bit more than the transfers, but other than that, all right. Matthew Everly, does Gravity have decent boot fitters? I love my local shop in Denver to death, but I don't trust their boot fit knowledge as much. Okay, so you're pretty much either getting Steve or the new guy, and I don't know what the new guy's name is there. There's like literally 2 people that work there, maybe 3. I think there's some other chick that works there. I haven't met her. So, I mean, if you're trying to get like custom boot work, it's not going to happen. Realistically, if you want a good boot fitter, go see Bugs at Littleton Christie Sports. So, go ask for Bugs. Tell him I sent you. That'll be fine. Otherwise, you could ask for Aaron at Evo. And he's solid because he came from Powder Tools. I trust him 110% down there. If you're coming up to Summit County, you can always stop to Mountain Sports Outlet. Kevin's usually there like Monday through Wednesday, I think, at night. He's sometimes there. Trying to remember who's working up at the Dillon Christie Sports. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. He's solid, though. I know he's solid, so you can always go with that. You know what, dude? You're annoying, so you're going in timeout. Don't be a cock goblin. Okay, where were we? Ninja Bick, have you ridden the Arbor Satori yet? Fun ride. I made 6 laps at Loveland on a really shitty day with it. It was okay. It wasn't enough for me to like fully formulate an opinion. Hopefully this year, after talking with my local Arbor rep, I got to talk to the Arbor marketing guy. I think we're going to be able to work something out. So yeah. Ugh, if you're going to buy Escape Banana, just leave this channel. Tom P. Well, I just ordered a LibTech Dynamo to replace my Solomon Daniel Frag from 1999. Will I die? I started riding in 1990 and I'm old and grumpy. No, but you're going to be riding something way better. The big thing that you're going to notice is the side cut's so different because you've got magnet traction on that. When you're on flats, it's going to feel a little more grippy just because it's got more contact points in it. It's also going to be a more damp ride. The other thing is it's not a cap constructed board. So when it's on edge, it will feel completely different. Are you going to die? No. But why the fuck were you literally riding a 23-year-old board? Like, fuck. No, not answering that. Tibby TT is Wet Pow even pow. Wet Pow is awesome because you never have to worry about hitting anything with it because it just compresses so much. Okay. Eric Chent. Tip in avoiding thigh and groin cramps always happens after lunch break. Tomorrow will be the first day of the slopes for me. Stoked Hunter, but will work. Yeah, it sounds like you got a potassium deficiency going on in there. You also sounds like you need to stretch your you need to do some serious stretching if you're getting cramps in there. Sitting around on the couch in the off season isn't going to make you better for snowboarding, regardless of how many fat fucking YouTubers from Keystone tell you that you can get away with it as they scarf down more fucking Wendy's food. No, what you should be doing is check out Mobility Duo on Instagram and YouTube. They have a bunch of different stretching exercises for legs and stuff. They are a great couple with just getting you dialed in for better things with snowboarding, whether it's mobility or PT, rehab, stuff like that, strength training, conditioning. They're absolutely great with that stuff. So it sounds like 1, potassium deficiency, 2, you're not drinking enough water, 3, you haven't done enough stretching in the off season, 4, you're not stretching before you go ride, 5, you might be riding past your body's actual limitations. Like I always tell people when you're starting off the season, ease into it. This open to close bullshit. Like all these people are like, I got to go open to close. And I was like, the fuck you do? Why didn't you ride, get 4 hours of optimal riding and call it a goddamn day? It's like the best thing you could do for yourself. Where we go? All right. Well, Eric, you won yourself a small sticker pack. You know the drill. Email me, info@angrysnowboarder, and I'll get that in the mail to you. And get that mailed out this weekend, probably. Okay. Richard Shinazi. Have 3 boards. Arbor Coda Rocker 161 mid-wide. Yes, Standard 62. And Warpig 59. 190-pound size 11 intermediate rider. Which board would be the best for resort trip? Why the fuck do you have the 59 Warpig at 190 pounds? You should have, the biggest you should be on is the 54. What that's a fucking Cadillac. If you had the 54, it would ride better in the trees. At this point, out of the 3 you have, the only one that would be worthwhile for resort tree riding is that Coda Rocker because you can sit back on the tail when the pow is deep, and then when you need to pivot forward and put your weight, you got that rocker underfoot so you can swivel around as you go around. Things. Oh god, this kid's fucking annoying. Goodbye. Just get the fuck out of here. You can suck a fart, dude. I'm not in the mood. Troy Parr, thoughts on Donic boards for carving? If you want to buy a piece of shit, buy a piece of shit. I would never buy one. John has, hey, Angry, maybe you've answered this in the past, but why don't you do on snow reviews at all? Because it adds fucking nothing to what I'm telling you. Do you go into your local shop and go to them and be like, I need to see videos you riding this because I don't believe what you're telling me? You either believe what I'm saying or you don't. And I believe that my track record has proven itself over and over and over and over again. You want to watch someone ride in a review? That means you want entertainment. That means you want something like Grand Tour or Top Gear. It doesn't mean that you actually care what I'm fucking saying. You can't learn shit from that. When someone's like, it's pressing. Oh, look at me. I'm leaning back. No, it doesn't. On top of the fact, it's more fucking work than I want to do. And I wouldn't be able to live in the goddamn minute because I'm walking around fucking holding a goddamn stick. You know who holds sticks when they're out in the snow? Skiers. You know what I'm not? A fucking skier. If I see one more of these fucking Goombas out there with their fucking GoPro on a fucking stick looking at the goddamn thing, not paying attention to where they're going. I almost got ran over twice the other day because some dumbass was like, I'm getting powder. And I was like, sure, buddy. Yeah, that like fucking dust on the side of the trail that I just sprayed is totally deep ass pow. Go get it. Go get it. It literally adds fuck all to what I'm doing. It doesn't do shit. It doesn't. It's a vanity thing. It's a look at me, look what I'm doing. That's what it is. On top of the fact, everyone will concentrate on the riding and not what I'm actually saying about the board. You think when I'm out riding, I'm trying to land like every fucking trick? No, I'm trying to figure out where it's flexing and why it's flexing that way. I don't give a fuck if my press looks soggy because I want to know why it's clapping down or why it's not engaging right where the flat meets the rocker, the camber meets the rocker, the C2X fucking HV PDE does whatever on it. No, go live in the fucking moment. So many people aren't living in the moment. Fucking, I can't believe how many people don't live in the moment. I see it every day when I go to the mountain. Oh, look at me. I got to take a fucking photo. There's a chairlift. Oh, look at me. I'm in the lift line. Oh, look, there's that $40 burger I took. Oh, look at me. I fucking ended upside down in a tree well. Live in the fucking moment, people. Live in it. It's not that fucking hard. Oh, and I love the people that are like, you could just ask your friend to film you. It'd be so much easier. Oh, really? Okay. All right. So 150 products. So that's let's just say that's 150 days of riding. If I do one product a day, I'd have to find someone every day to do that. You know what that is to them? That's a job. That means I got to pay them. I've already made this a job. I shouldn't have to make this any more of a job. You're getting the same information. It's not giving you anything. I had this argument with some guy and he's like, I watch reviews of people driving cars, so I know how. And I was like, or, you could go fucking test drive it yourself, dipshit. Like, fuck. Literally had this argument with some guy and he was trying to bitch at me about it. And I was like, dude, you sit down to strap in. We're not the same. We're not the same. So, it's the stupidest fucking thing. Like, there's a time and a place for it. And this is not it. Like, I'm literally going out to hammer out 3 hours of riding on something to see how it rides. I want to just hammer it out and be done with it. And I love the people that are like, well, James from the Good Ride does 2 laps on a board and fucking films him with his weight on his tail, just going straight down the run. He literally will ride 10 products in a 5-hour day, half hour on each everything. I've seen him do it at demo days. I've set him up at demo days for it. Like, the guy's no, it doesn't do shit for you. It doesn't. Yeah, just blows my fucking mind. Doesn't do shit. And I love it when I'm like, would you go into a shop and say that to people? And I had one guy be like, yeah, I would. And I was like, what fucking shops are you going into? Like, fuck off. I was like, you probably buy your shit on Amazon. You probably buy a package deal too. Make sure it color coordinates to your fucking dope and Montech with your fucking Kuno Jonathan Buckhouse ass blaster goggles. Oh, it doesn't do shit for anyone. I can literally go out in a day, ride 4-6 hours, ride 2 products, know exactly what I need to say about them because I know how they're going to ride and be done with it. It would be really boring if you watched 100 reviews of me and it was literally the same lap day after day after day after day after day. Yeah. Okay. All right. Chug Life, stepping up from the Merc to something more aggressive, free ride focus. What would be the first 2 to 3 boards that comes to mind? So if you do Capita, Black Snowboard of Death, K2, you'd go to the Alchemist, Jones, Aviator. 3 right there. Boom. Done. All right. David off Black Dynamite with the super chat. I'm finally flying to Colorado with decent early season snow for once. I get to properly explore Copperny Basin. Have you seen any interesting board shop demos this year, like Underground with Karua? Tuesday, Rome will be at Underground in Breckenridge. They're calling it Wake and Bake. So Rome, Wake and Bake. There's that. You can demo boards at Gravity. See what Steve has available. I think he's got some Jones in there, some Capita, and some Burton in there. There's also a Christie's at the base of Super B. They should have demos in there. And that kind of depends on what they're carrying in that store. But yeah, that would be my 2 suggestions right there. That's right. Subscribe or else. Okay. Drew Vitale, how strictly should you follow weight recommendations from the manufacturer? So it's kind of an arbitrary number and it's kind of made up. Here's the big thing. If you're in the middle of the weight range, then the board is going to be pretty close to what their marketing is, unless the guy that wrote the marketing copy was fucking high as a kite on cocaine and Quaaludes. Then it might be. If you're on the low end of the weight range, the board is going to be a little bit stiffer. If you're on the high end of the weight range, it's going to be softer. That's like it. Then you take in your personal preference, where you're riding, what you're looking for in there. I mean, once you develop your personal preference, like I always ride 154s for park. Usually that's like my park size. 57's my all mountain, and like 58 to 60, depending on the board, is my pow size, and then like 48 to 52 for volume shift. So, Jess H, spin for Slim. Oh my God, do not encourage him. He's probably watching us right now. Every spin I make, every breath I take, Slim Whitman is watching me while drinking Malort. Okay, Nick Larson. Is there a big difference between Remind or Shred Soles and Superfeet insoles? Superfeet were the only ones locally available. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Give me one. Do I have a set of Reminds in here? Shit. Give me 1 second. Shit. Where are those Reminds? I thought I had them in here. All right. So I don't have a set of Reminds in here right now. I think I put them somewhere else. But so with Shred Soles, the big difference is going to be actually in the posting for the heel and stuff. Same thing with Superfeet, any of that stuff. So it all gets a little different in there. So as you can see, like it's got that little impact piece, this and that. Now, the big thing is also the shaping of them too. Like Reminds work well with my foot shape. Shred Soles, the arch is too hard and too high. It puts too much pressure on me. I've used Superfeet wintergreens, but if I use any of the other ones, I end up having foot problems with them. The big thing is it's like a boot. The best one is the one that works for you. I think they all do work really well. I would like to spend the time to go through every single one that I could and break them all down for you. Unfortunately, financial limitations as well as time limitations. Hopefully my editor will get healthy again. I can finally bring him on so I'm not editing everything again. And we can do that, but I think that's going to happen after the first of the year. All right. Malcolm Powder, do top pros, Travis, etc. use boards straight out of the factory, or are they custom built? Almost, it depends on which pro it is. Some of them they get whatever. Some of them they get custom one-offs. Let's see. Okay, what else we got going on tonight? Okay, where were we? Let's see. Oh, okay. So we'll follow up that last question with this one from Cosmotronic Hayes. Hey, Avran, do you have any recommendations for footbeds for snowboard boots? So Remind Insoles, which I think they have a sale going on right now on their website. Shred Soles, which you can only get those on Amazon. Certain ones of the Super Feet, the DFPs are solid. There's Citus Game Changers as well. Basically, there's always something for someone out there. Super chat here from our boy Drew Gallagher. Stop putting stickers on my effing boards from the factory. Put them on Buckhous's mom, but get them off my effing boards. No, 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 no. More stickers on just your board. I mean, seriously, it's how hard to take a razor blade and just scrape something off. I mean, they really do come off super easy for the most part.
Okay, I found this on the web for how hard is it to take a razor blade to...
Siri's getting suicidal. That was weird. Okay, well, drink Malort. That was very, very weird. Okay. Okay, Tanky, should I go with the captain and navigator or bump up to the black snowboard to death? I like to go fast on the groomers and pop off side hits, occasionally in the trees, intermediate rider pace for 50 days this season. You're a navigator guy. The black snowboard to death will be too stiff for you in the trees. Torsionally, you're not going to get what you want with it. So that navigator is going to be a little softer flexing, and it'll get you where you need to be. Okay. Chris Baum is base shaping overhyped. It can be overdone. Like my favorite is when people are like, I noticed this 2 millimeter rise. It just affected how I was riding. I was like, you didn't notice shit, dude. You just suck. So it has its place. And you can go too far in the extreme of it. And you can also have it so minimal that people think they're feeling it. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're feeling. It's not there. Like I helped design the Marhar Lumberjack. It has a 3 millimeter rise on the edge. Why does it have a 3 millimeter rise on the edge? Because I didn't want to catch my edge when I was board sliding a log jib. That was literally why I said put your sideways rocker on. It's enough that when you're flat basing it and riding it, you're never going to notice it at all. I never talk about it. It's like fucking it's there, right? But if I was sliding a log, and it's got bark and shit, that's where I'm going to notice it. I slide a regular metal jib, I'm never going to notice it. It's kind of like I had someone trying to tell me that the 3D shaping on the Jones, I think it was the flagship or the Stratus, was the exact same shaping that's on the Battalion Thunder. And I was like, oh, nobody, no, not even close. Not like night and day difference. That's like saying the Gilson is the exact same thing as it. It's not. It's not. So it's one of those things like if it's done right, it's so subtle you will never notice it unless you're really looking for it on a specific thing. What's cool about that slight 3D shaping is when you're flat basing on a cat track and you're on a camber board, that 3D shaping is elevating that contact point. You will glide farther because it's not digging in and slowing you down. Most people will not actively notice that. Now that I've said something, they might. But by and large, most people will never notice it too much. It's like the K2 antidote. The 3D shaping in that board, it takes up half of the contact point. So you're losing some of that edge bite. I noticed that. I was like, okay, it's not biting as hard on edge, but it would still carve great. But when I was flat basing, it would take away some of that slowdown that you would get. So speaking of Gilson too, this is fucking hilarious. Some guy left a comment this week on old video where I just shit on Gilson, and he's like, "You're a fucking Karen," and he's just like, everything was like, "I'm a Karen, I'm a Karen," and I was like, "Tell me you bought a Gilson without telling me you bought a Gilson." And I was like, "I'm sorry, you like inferior products." He's like, "This is the best quality snowboard I've ever bought," and I was like, "Somebody's never bought a quality snowboard." He's like, "You're a fucking Karen. You live on the mountains and you get to snowboard and you're being a Karen." And I was like, my response was, "You do realize, like, if you'd never commented on this board because it offended you, or this video because it offended you, if you had never commented on this, we wouldn't be where we're at." And he couldn't grasp it. And I was like, "Hey, man, it's too late for you, but I see you got a kid. Tell your kid to stop picking up its significant other at family reunions like you did, and your parents did, and your grandparents did." This dude just like couldn't grasp the jokes that I was cracking on him. And I was like, this is a typical Gilson user. They're fucking retarded. Like, ugh. All right. What do we got here? Dan Shima, my summer coat of wax I put on my board for storage. Should I hot wax it and start over, or is it possible to actually scrape all of it off? So here's what you want to do. Take your iron, get it warm, run it over that wax so that it gets just a little warm, hot scrape it right off. Boom, done, over with. Bam, you're ready to go ride after that. Okay, Luke DeSanier, angry. You often talk about how boards have different fields depending on the factory. How would you describe the feel of Kuro boards or anything from the Nobly factory? So they have a responsive, stiffer feel to them. Like everything I've ridden from there, it's something to do with their fiberglass and their wood cores that they use. They have a very, I guess I wouldn't say it's stiffer. It's more responsive than other stuff because you still get that lacquer coat in the top sheet and stuff. So it's not like you're looking at an American-made board that's got a gallon of epoxy in it, but they have their own feel to it. Like I've ridden enough stuff from Nobly and factory that I'm like, okay, this feels like what they've got going on. Like the Karuas themselves have their own feel to it inside of what else is made in that factory. Like the more stuff you ride, and if you consistently ride more things and then you have your baseline boards, you notice, like I can tell you when I'm riding a ride board, and I own a shadow band, like that's my personal board this year. I'm on the shadow band. I know how that is. But if I go to a K2, same factory, different carbon layups in there, they feel different. They side cut wise, they can be somewhat similar, but the response on my shadow band versus say the Passport, completely different. You feel that difference in there. A Capita board, you get on it, they're a little more lightweight. They have a certain response to them. They do break down over time, and you notice that like the camber isn't as reactive at the end of the season as it was at the start of the season if you rode it for 100 days. Like you ride an American made board, they're more damp, they're wet, they're not as lively. Board from SWS in Dubai, so that's your Romes, your Battalions, Nideckers, Jones, yes, they have a specific feel to them. And then you take their camber profiles and side cut technologies and put them on there, and that adds more to it. It's just like if you ride a Nitro that's made at Playmaker, it'll ride like a Dinosaurs Will Die. It'll ride like a Chamonix board as well. You notice that as well. Each one of those kind of has their own feel in it. So yeah, okay. Home Alone. A shop guy told me boots aren't packing out lengthways anymore, just on the sides. Do you buy your actual street shoe in size and downsize? Don't ever go back to that shop and listen to that guy. He's a fucking idiot. So I know that they pack out in every direction. How do I know this? Probably because I've been doing this for 26 years and it's fucking happened. But I have a 10 3/4 on my right and a 9 3/4 on my left. I wear a size 10 boot. That means my right boot is going to be tighter on my toes. I can tell you when they pack out because suddenly my toe isn't like this, it's like this in there, and that's lengthwise. That's not width. It's not like my foot's going in this way. Like there's only one way for that to go when it's like this, forward. It's gonna pack it out. Like that guy. Fuck, man. There are some really shitty shop people. New Renaissance, did you already talk about the double-decker snowboard today? No, but now that you brought it up, let's get into this. Because a lot of people have been sending me this bullshit, this double-decker board. So, Terje Håkonsen is riding for this new company called Double Decker, and it's basically a riser plate that is cambered that mounts into the inserts of the snowboard. So it's like you have your snowboard here with another riser that's hollow underneath it. So there's things that I would agree with kind of what they're saying, which they're very vague on what they're saying, but they're like, it makes everything better. It does not make everything better. What it does is it will change the response because you're elevated higher and it's giving an extra load to the board. It's going to be snappy and more responsive. Now, the video with Terje in it, he's not riding their shit. If you look at it, he's riding an old Burton and he's on step-on. You can see it. Then they cut to an up close, and I'm pretty sure it was filmed at Copper because I'm pretty sure I saw one at Copper. And the guy, and it's filmed from the knees down. So you have no clue who it is that's riding it, really. I don't think it was Terje, but I'm pretty sure I saw one at Copper like 2.5 weeks ago. And I thought it was just like a riser plate for like a border cross board, which is where I think this would actually make sense. Border cross, bank slalom, something like that. You're going to go ride this thing in Powtown? No, because all it's going to do is pack in underneath it eventually in there. Wet snow, it's going to pack in there, especially if you're going from wet, warm to like cold and stuff like that. It's going to do it. Do I think it has advantages on edge? Yeah, I think you're going to get more leverage on edge. I think it could give the board more power. Do I think this is the game changer? No. Do I think Terje took a paycheck? Oh yeah. Yeah, he took a check. He took a check for sure. Would I be willing to try one? Yes, I would not have a problem trying one. Do I think this will be here in a few years? No, because the company is so vague on what they're saying. It's something that snowboarders and especially shops and people that would buy this are a little more skeptical of it and whatnot. So I think there's that going into it. This double-decker thing, everyone's been sending it to me. I was like, yeah, I've seen it. I get it. It's there. I think it's funny that their marketing keeps touting Terje. It's more like they're using just his image rather than his knowledge base or the fact that he did a lot of R&D and prototyping and testing with Burton, because he's riding a Burton in it. It just doesn't make sense. So it gives me vibes of the old F-16 whip, the Cheetah. This board these Japanese guys invented that couldn't ride POW, but was going to be like a suspension system and give more snap on a groomer. That's what it reminds me of. Just less kooky and less looking like the Batmobile from Christopher Nolan's Batman series. Okay. Michael Evans, how would you compare the ride Smokescreen compared to the K2 Passport? Slower edge to edge. It's got more snap out of the rear foot, but it doesn't have as much rebound as the Passport actually has. Personally, I prefer the Passport on edge. I think that it just grips better than the Smokescreen. Smokescreen is a little bit stiffer. It's a little more damp than it, not by much. They sit in that same category, but if I had to choose one, I'd go with the Passport because I think it's more reactive. It's just a better ride. It's going to be better on edge. Adam Finley, took your advice, got a 154 Endeavor archetype. Fantastic. Any chance you have any collabs with Casey or Tommy planned this year? I haven't talked to, well, I talked to Casey briefly the other day while he was doing his 100K live stream, popped on just to tell him congratulations. I don't think he's back in Colorado yet. I know when he gets to town, I'll talk to him. I always do. I don't think we'll do anything because Casey and I are like just homies from way back in the day. Like, I don't think people realize that. Tommy and I, though, if you were catching his live stream Tuesday night at the end, for about the last like half hour, I popped in and was just saying a really weird off the wall shit just to see where we could go with it. And it was kind of funny, but Tommy and I, he texted me last night. I didn't ride today, so I didn't see him. But we were talking about some kind of video we kind of want to do. We might film something tomorrow. We got to see it. I know I might have popped up on his Instagram just because he was filming something with his 360-degree camera in the park because he was doing some tutorial. And I just rolled up behind him and he was like, "number 2, follow this guy on Instagram." And I was like, 2. And then I just dropped and dipped out. But Yeah, Tommy and I, we talked about something. I think he wants to do some kind of interview, chairlift interview or something. So there's something there for him. I'm not sure. So yeah. Ugh. Jenny Crook, have you heard of any new incidents involving Urban Vixen? No, that bitch is insane. She follows me on Instagram. She tried to DM me like a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, we do not engage. That chick is another level of crazy. Like burn your house down crazy. All right, we got a super chat from Fruit Poop Loops. Spin Slims for wins. Oh, God. People are the worst. You're always encouraging them. You lose. Ooh, yeah. I love porn bots when they come in here. We'll just, we'll report that. Child abuse. Boom. Done. Okay. Hide user from channel. Yes. There we go. And we got another porn bot in here. All right. Well, hide user in this chat. No, they've been hidden. Or just remove them. Okay. Let's see what we got here. AW Ron. As a beginner, is it worthwhile to upgrade my 2014 GNU carbon credit to a K2 ray gun or yes basic? No, run that thing into the ground this season, then next year you get to upgrade. Brandon Sawada, what up, Avran? Contrast lens technology and goggles, is there really a large difference between each brand's own take? If so, ranking best worst? There is. And so like it's your Oakley, Smith, then you got your Dragon Electric, Anon stuff across the board there. And each one has its take. And depending on the shape of each person's eyes, it can be a little bit different just with the shape of your cornea and stuff in there. I'm a big Dragon guy. I've been for years, and I'm super stoked. I found a set of old X2s with the blue lens that they discontinued because blue eyes with the blue lens, it's actually amber on the inside, but the VLT, visible light transmission that it lets in, and was so good on my eyes on sunny days. I miss those goggles. I miss having those. So I ordered a set of those for it. It's so different. Like low light days, I run prisms pretty much from Oakley because the snow definition is so much there. So, it's hit or miss, but basically, you got your Oakley Smith at the top, then you got your Dragon Electric, Anon, Giro stuff in that level. Then you got your next tier down, and then you got all the shitty stuff after that. And it's kind of funny. I think I'm going to have to do another goggle video. Tommy Bennett and I were talking about this. He's going to give me a set of his Benetech goggles once the full production ones come in. But I want to do like a video with like Shady Rays, Glade Optics, Buckhuss's Pro Model one. I want to just destroy these things because I got into it with the owner of Glade Optics a couple weeks ago, which the guy keeps claiming he lives in Breckenridge, and I've never fucking met this turd. And he was just like, our goggles are not Alibaba Express. And I was like, strange. I'm literally looking at Alibaba Express, and I see 3 goggles of that. And he's like, our goggles are cheaper than the name brand. And I was like, yours are $149.99. The Smith goggle that you're competing with is a $150.00. You are 1 cent cheaper. Fuck off. I was like, your goggles are cheap and shitty. And I was like, you're literally you're the owner of the company, and you're arguing with me while you're claiming that you've sold hundreds of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of units. If that was the case, you would not be arguing with me on Instagram because I'm a meme account. That just tells me that. And then I noticed he was popping up on like different snowboarding websites trying to argue with people and being like, I'll give you a promo code for 70% off, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that really doesn't sound like you make a quality product to me. So, yeah. Super chat from Cavia Spilly. Long live Slim. RIP L Stacker. RIP Cavia Spilly. I don't know how I feel about you coming back. You're like a bad case of herpes that really does need to die. So you don't get a spin. All right. Lewis Brooks. Sup, Avran. Finally made it to North America and know nothing about powder boards. Should I look short and volume shifted boards or bigger swallowtail ones? Sure. It depends where you're at. So if you're like more East Coast, you're riding more flatter terrain, tight trees, volume shift is definitely a great way to go, or even a medium shift. You're riding steep, deep, wide open terrain. Yeah, like a big long board is going to be better in there. If you're just looking for something for resort ripping, dude, there's so many great resort power boards, like your Rosnell Sashimi, an Endeavor Archetype, a Rome Ravine or Ravine Select, a Capita Navigator. Those are probably what you just need, something in there just to dip your toe into the power board thing. Okay. Ryan Steziuk, probably butchered that. How's that feel on something like the Sleepy Stevens board where it's flat through the middle compared to a regular camber board? So flat boards feel like a broken in cambered board that you've ridden for 100 days. Like you get on them, and after about 4 laps, you're like, hey, okay, cool. I know what this can do. And they're a little more playful. There's a lot more torsional give, and you don't have that rebound to camber coming up into your knees. So the load is different. So like when you roll back on the tail, the spring is less reactive. So you're not going to pop and get as much snap, but you're going to be able to get into it and still get some pop from it. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay. RJ Breger, not sure if you can say, but I've always been curious how much R&D money goes into a new board company like Nerd before they have something they can sell. So Jordan and I actually talked about this on the first Black Friday live stream 2 weeks ago. So he spent, I think, about 1.5 to 2 years R&D, and at one point he was talking to like 4 different factories before he went with GP87. And, he was talking with Eric, their in-house designer at the actual factory, and Kevin, and they were kind of going around in that. He made a few prototypes and stuff, and he did some samples and whatnot in there. But the thing was, like, Eric, the designer at GP87, and Jordan from Nerd, they've known each other for 10 plus years. So them working together is a little different than other factories working with people they don't know. But for them as a company, I think he only sank in like a couple thousand to get stuff dialed in. Real companies. So back in the day, I was helping out a company called Echelon Snowboards, doing kind of like team building for them, like building up their actual shred team and kind of managing stuff for them and whatnot, and giving them input on design behind the scenes on things. And so we were working on stuff. They spent $1.3 million and didn't have shit to show for it. And I remember specifically telling them, I was like, I would not invest in this because you're throwing money down a hallway that does not matter. They were working with an inferior factory for a while, an inferior designer. They had infighting, egos, stuff like that. They were trying to build some kind of baseless binding. But yeah, they sank like 1.3 million into that. I can think of this. There was this binding company called Manic Snow that was going to make suspension bindings, like full-blown coil over on the 4 corners of the binding. And the thing sat like this high off, and then had a foam pad, and they were made out of magnesium, which was like the stupidest thing you can make a binding out of because it'll crack. Like they argued with me. They're like, this isn't going to crack. And I was like, I'm having visions of the old K2 V12s that were magnesium, and they would just crack when they got cold, like, because you're putting different forces on them. But supposedly they sunk like $250K into a prototype. And then I think like another 300K or something. I don't know exactly, but I'd heard some numbers, and they were out of business within a year, like because no one wanted, because they were selling them to recoup their losses. They were going to sell them for like 560, and that was 10 plus years ago. So R&D costs, like, I ran into this guy at Loveland once back in 2020 or 2021, something like that. And he had some really funky looking shapes. They almost looked like coffins. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool shape. And, I was just talking to him and he's like, yeah, I make these in my garage. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what's your R&D process? He's like, I use plywood for cores. And I was like, ooh, that's cheap. Like really cheap, like sketchy cheap. So, yeah, so it was one of those things like you can get away with stuff. Actually, if you guys click the cultural mystery link of the week, it's a video by Snowboard Mag, but on ARC, which is Ride's in-house design engineering aspect and prototyping. It's about 4-minute video. I definitely watch it. I would say watch it. Their board designer, Michael Chilton, has some good stuff. Former board designer, because now he's over at Rome Battalion, Nidecker. But, they have some good stuff to say about designing boards and what it is. And that'll give you an idea of what a really legit prototyping facility looks like and whatnot. And you realize that's some really expensive machinery in there. All right, let's see. Let's see. Fruit Poop Loops. How much does 2 centimeter size difference really matter? Rome Rep said, doesn't matter, but I think it kind of does. Some boards it does, and some boards you just get more effective edge, and it's pushing the camber section out, so the pop will engage a little different, and it'll ride a little different on edge. For the average rider, most people will never notice a 2 centimeter difference. If you ride a lot and you're actively riding, it can be the difference. I don't like riding a 156 for park because I ride a 54. It just feels off. The swing weight feels off, everything like that, which is funny because I ride a 157-ish for all mountain freestyle. Okay. Ryan Bingham with the super chat. Cheers to being in the golden age of snowboarding. Everyone always tries to say that something is a golden age. I think we're definitely in a great area of snowboarding right now. So. Ooh, pick a question for a spin. Okay. Cosmetronic Hayes, my wife is 5 foot and 105 pounds. I want to get her an aggressive all mountain board for Xmas. What do you recommend? Also, she has 7 toes total, both feet. That's amazing. I love you people. I love you people. So it's actually funny. I'm working on a more aggressive all mountain board list for the ladies, but so it's the Jones Earhart. The K2 Passport comes in smaller sizes and it's kind of unisex, so that's really cool. At 105 pounds, it's how much weight can she actually throw into that board too? Do it K2. I'd almost say a K2 cold shoulder would probably be fine for her as well. Let's see, you want an aggressive all mountain board? I think that kind of rules out stuff from Rome. Well, maybe a Hell Yes or what the hell is it? There's the other one. There's the Hell Yes and there's the other one from Yes. But one of those might be something as well to consider for her too. All right. You do get a spin, sir. You lose. Okay. Coleman Young, how do you prevent goggle fog between the lenses? Oof. If that's already happening, you've destroyed the goggle, but you can kind of salvage it. But what you need to do when you're not using the goggle, pop it out of the frame, stick it in a bag of rice overnight, and do that. But what you need to do is when you're putting your goggles away at the end of the day, you've got some trapped moisture or something going on in there. So when you shove it back in the goggle bag or whatever, it's trapping it and sealing it in there. It's not drying it out. You need to leave it out. Don't hang it from your rear view on your car, but like leave it out, let it air dry, make sure everything's dry in there before you put it in a bag and whatnot. But if it's getting really bad, that lens is shot. It's time to get a replacement lens. Nerd. Okay. Let's see. Michael Evans, how small of a park board could a 10 boot, 6 foot to 200 pounds guy go for? I prefer a bit larger, but I found some 156 size boards for sale. For a park board, 56 is fine. Like with a size 10, as long as it's got like a 25 and up waist on that, you'll be fine. Like I wouldn't worry about that at all. Okay, Fruit Poop Loop, spin for snow, East Coast, been only getting rain. And the East Coast always gets rain. Well, there you go, sir. You got yourself a medium sticker pack if you want it. You know how to hit me up and get that. So, all right. Okay. Alex V, thoughts on head snowboards only for rental? I would like to ride them. I really would. They're just like, they're based in Boulder for North America. They're such a ski brand around here that they just don't give a shit about their snowboards. Maybe this will be the year I go talk to someone. Like I've reached out in the past. They have some interesting tech, and like I look at their shapes and I was like, I want to ride that because it like intrigues me a little bit. Like they're a brand that intrigues me. But at the same time, I don't want to jump through all the fucking hurdles to try to get something from them either. So, you know, there's that. Ooh, pick a question for a spin. Okay. What do we got floating around here? Okay. We'll go with Phil Millie. Do you have any recommendations for a board that is bomber that would be good on the ice coast? I want to be able to point it straight downhill with confidence. It also needs to carve in hard snow. Capital Black Snowboard to Death, Ride, Peace Seeker, or you could even bump up to the Commissioner if you really want to. Even a Mountain Pig would be good for that. The K2 Alchemist, the Jones Aviator, or even a Flagship. Let's see. Rosinal, you probably want to go with like an XV, but that might be a little overkill. So even a Juggernaut, but that's a twin, which is super stiff twin. So it's probably not the most ideal thing for you, though. The Signal Sierra series is pretty good too. If you're doing like LibTech Mervin, I'd be looking at like the TRS. That's a really good one. Maybe a GNU 4x4 or even a Hyper. Hyper might be a little too soft in the nose though for that. Let's see, think that. Oh, you know, I'd throw like an Amplid Singular in there, or even maybe like a Soli Grail, or I guess a Pentaquark if you really wanted to. So that should give you a few different options there, Phil. Give you a spin here. Person 3 above gets a spin. Okay, 3 above. Well, that just goes to Ryan Stazuik. Ooh, drink your Malort. Drink your Malort. Okay. We got 0 Mile ADV. Super chat to stop telling people to go to Powderhorn. Everyone go to Powderhorn in Mesa, Colorado. It's a little hidden gem. I like that place. It's not like people from Denver are going to go drive the 5 hours to get there. Spin again. All hail the mullet. Okay, let's see. Well, we got a super chat here from Francois Seguin. Spin for Slimothy convertible Miata in winter. Hopefully he drives it off a cliff. Nerd. Okay, we got one here from Johnny Crook. Do you know if the lenses and air blaster goggles are legit for protecting eyes? They used to have the old ones used to be a Zeiss lens, and I don't think the new ones are. Like every time I look at that goggle, I'm like, it's a little questionable, and I just sort of like that. But at the same time, like my friend is the air blaster rep, and he was telling me that the goggles were made at some other factory now. So like it's like hit or miss with them. It's so hit or miss. Anyways, guys, I think we're slowing down here. I'm gonna take off because I gotta go take my dog out and dodge everyone that's going to the bonfire for Uller Fest. So hopefully you guys got something from this. I did try to get a top 5 video for you, but then I got tired and said fuck it and went to sleep. So yeah. But anyways, if you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing anything. If you want to support us a little bit further, you can always swing over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Don't forget to check the links down in the description. So many videos down there for you guys this week. And, obviously reviews till the end of the year. I think I should finish like right around the end of the year for all the reviews and stuff. So next week's live stream will be the last live stream of the year. Then I go on vacation until the 5th. So, as always, guys, thank you for everything, and I'll see you in another video.